like this year is such a time to be self-critical. And I think before the pandemic even was happening in the world, I was talking really a lot about self-compassion and how that is a huge theme, because you're aware, you bring in the discipline, but also not having all that negative critical talking to yourself about, oh, I didn't do this today, or I couldn't meditate for 20 minutes. But I think people try and jump in, and it takes 21 days to create a new habit. People say that about working out, anything. So like you were saying, now when you catch yourself having a thought, you're immediate, but having that compassion as you're working toward your goal is so important, to not stop the progress that you've already made before it really gets implanted in your just like order, in your DNA.
Absolutely. This is interesting. I want to hit on something, Sam, that I've never hit on before in a podcast, and that always makes me happy when I get to talk about things that, because like I've talked about compassion before, of course, and the best definition that I've ever heard and that I give when it comes to compassion is, this makes it very easy for us to be compassionate, out there, is, regardless of what someone's experience may be, in the world or around us, and we've all been there. Like, we've all been frustrated. We've all probably been depressed. We've all been sad. We've all experienced the whole human experience. So can we maintain our connection, that contentness that Sam was mentioning? And for me, energy, as we label it, whenever there has more momentum, where, content can go from, I can be content or at peace, and then all of a sudden have a really good idea pop in my mind. I'm like, ooh, that's a good idea. I'm excited about that. So now there's just more momentum, going behind that contentment. And then that excitement can turn into, I'm really passionately doing something that, like, I'm just want to put my time and energy into. And so that's a stronger momentum. And so momentum will carry us to these places. So it's like, can we at least maintain our connection with who we truly are, with the divine, with God, universe, love, all that is spirit, source, infinite intelligence, nature, whatever it is that we resonate with out there, regardless of what the world or others around us may be going through? Can we maintain our connection? Which, if you've maintained it, if you're at that content place or peaceful place or anything with more momentum than that, where you're feeling good, you're feeling connected, then from that place, you're not going to ever say anything or think anything or take any action towards someone of a critical or judging or blaming or, condemning nature, because you can't be connected, be who you truly are, and condemn and, judge someone and blame someone and say someone's a jerk. You can't be at the same time. So it's one or the other. So what I've never really spoken about before, because it's interesting, because I'm wrapping my mind around it, as far as self-compassion goes, and those moments especially, like, if you want to be compassionate to yourself, you have to be connected to your heart. So if you do notice yourself being compassionate to yourself, like, you can give yourself so much love and so much, like, credit, so to speak, because you're connected. And the only way that you're going to be able to be compassionate to yourself is through that connection. Because, we're not talking about, like, maybe you're in a frustrated mood, but you see somebody and you just like, oh, wow, they're really experiencing life. Like, I just want to send them so much love. So now my vibration just raised because I'm, putting my energy and attention on another human being. And, you might not do that also. You might be frustrated and see them and be like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to get away from this. It's already been a rough day. I don't want any of this around. So you might not do that. But when it comes to others, like, maybe you might be in the habit of raising your vibration because you want to help somebody. When it comes to ourselves, it's like, you really have to be connected, because if right now I can't be frustrated myself and compassionate to myself at the same time. Like, this is like, we're in the energy that you're in. So self-compassion is an interesting one. And my advice to everybody is, if you notice yourself, experiencing life again in an energy where it just doesn't feel so good, don't beat yourself up for it. Like, it just, because you're only going to feel worse. Like, momentum will pick up for sure. Like, energy is never staying still. So I like to pay attention, Sam, whether my energy is going towards, like, just love and joy, or if it's going towards, like, angry, upset, powerless, depressed. Like, which direction? Not making myself right or wrong for either, but I like to be mindful of it, so that then I have the choice to, to maybe allow it to go in a different direction if I should so choose.
Yeah, that was also great. It's also so funny. My mentor, who was the first one to talk to me about self-compassion, joined the Instagram live, like, right as you were talking about that. So that's really cool. Yeah, all of, like, just, I totally feel that. And something I talk about so much is, like, building resilience. And that's basically what you're talking about, when how can you be frustrated and compassionate at the same time, and especially about yourself. So I think that's really awesome. Yeah, like everything's relating together, and yeah.
I love it. I love it. For me, I mean, if I can help anyone just have the awareness of what we're talking about, like, I'm just so happy for them, because then it will be a choice as far as, does this matter enough to me to practice it? And none of us are permanently like happy. None of us are permanently enlightened. None of us are permanently sad. I don't ever, Sam, let anyone label themselves around me. And typically people will label themselves in a kind of a self-deprecating way, like, oh, I'm an anxious person. Like, I say, like, sometimes. Like, there's just, the answer to all of these labels is always sometimes, because nobody is ever always one way, regardless of who you are out there. Even the monk in the monastery could be a little bit at fear or, frustrated or whatever at times. Like, but they're very aware of it, and I'm sure they don't stay there very long because of practice. And so that's all I care about for humanity is, just helping more people have this light bulb come on, because this is who all of us truly are. And we didn't need to be taught this when we were just unconditional loving little babies, when all we were focused on is the present moment. And this is why I like to use babies or just kids, and then also animals as good teaching tools, just to be present to them, because they're living life how all of us truly came here to live. They're present and they're in the moment, and like, they're just looking for things that are enjoyable for them. Feed me, play with me, all of these things.
Yeah, exactly. Like, before any external factors were able to alter their opinions, and a lot of those things I find are things that people hold on to, and then they tell themselves, and then they become their own bullies. And they perpetuate these thoughts that have been told to them maybe one time, but that's something that they tell themselves for years, and then they internally, subconsciously make it a part of their identity, when really that's not who they are at all. And they blame it on the other person, but it's really something that they have just carried for a long time. So yeah, that's, I think, and what you were saying, like, I am, people say I'm anxious. It's like remembering to add the word feeling. Like, I am feeling anxious, I am feeling sad. And it really is not about, and just, you are, and just dropping in and really remembering, like you're saying, that baby or that like animalistic instinct inside of you, to remind you that we are a part of nature, and we are just mammals at the top of the food chain, in one with nature. So,
for videos of hundreds of conscious conversations like this one, as well as live workshops, head over to universalabundance.co. That's universalabundance.co, and join the Universal Abundance community. And if you help us share this consciousness, as a result, attract and manifest unlimited abundance to you. Love and appreciate you all. Talk to you soon.